This is my latest purchase. You can see it's a Bosch Push-drive. It says push and go automatic start. It was sold as not working, and it's still in its original box. And oh, it's even got a little label, a USB cable, box of screwdriver bits that don't look like they've been used, and that's the screwdriver. So if we put let's just put a random screwdriver bit in there. So we push, so we've got this, forward, off, backwards, so push and go, obviously nothing happens, forward, oh, push and go, and it goes, back, and it goes. Right, set it to forward, tiny little screw. Oh, and it stopped. Oh, that's interesting. So it went a little bit and then it stopped. Relax pressure. It's gone again. Let's try coming out. Push. And there we go. That's quite interesting. I'll put it on forward again. Let's see what happens now. Push. And it stops. It could be it stops because it's got this thing on here on the back which is some kind of adjustment for torque apparently. So if I set that to number 2, let's pull that out and then we'll see if it still stops. Forwards. Oh no, it doesn't stop now. Oh right, so that must be some sort of automatic torque stop. Put it back on number 1. It looks like this is some kind of lights that light up for charging it. Just take that screw out. Not sure I like the push and go aspect of it, but still seems to work. Let's see if it needs charging at all. Where's that charge lead? Charge lead. Got a USB plug in there. Now, where do we plug it in? Oh, that's a USB sign. Ah! I don't know if you can... That doesn't look too bad, but what on earth has happened to... I don't know if you can see that. Try and get some light on it. I don't know if that will help. Torch needs charging. Let's try another torch. It's there's no real plug there anymore. So clearly we can't charge it up. We have no way of charging it up. Right, oh, so that must be what the fault is. It's not that it doesn't work. You can't charge it up. Oh, well, let's see if this end comes off. That looks like a... Not sure if that's a... I think that's a hex. That's a very small hex. Oh, it looks like it might actually be a Torx. I thought it was a hex. It's a very small size. What size is this? T9. one. Can't see any more screws, so does this come off? Oh, that comes off. And that looks like a circuit board. Battery is attached. Looks like everything is all in one piece. If you watch that switch, you can see as I pull on this, that is moving, so I don't know if there's any way of popping the switch out. I've been prying underneath this for about the last 10 minutes with the spudger, and it finally pinged off. I was being as gentle as I possibly could be because I couldn't work out if that's what would happen, you know, would it actually come off, but it did. And it looks like that must be the switch there. But with a bit of luck, more of this now will come out a bit. Not a lot. I was hoping it would slide out. Right, I'm not sure what I'm missing, but I'm obviously missing something, because if I pull at this end and you watch that end up this end, you can see I'm pulling the whole thing, and if I squeeze this end I'm pushing the whole thing, but this is obviously hitting something. So I wonder if this end comes off. And I can't see anything that would allow it to come off, so I'll just keep looking. Well, for the first time ever I've had to look on the internet to try and find out how to get this apart, because apparently this ring pushes off and I cannot get it to push off, but at least now I know it does, so I'll push a bit harder. It is moving a fraction, but you can see it really does not want to move. There we go. No wonder I couldn't get it off. I needed a lot more force than I was willing to risk. So that's that, and now we've got a circlip there and we've got another circlip there. Right, I think I'll just take the main circlip off, that big one that's there. Oh, there it goes. So there's the circlip. There's a thick metal washer behind that. Oh, look at that. And then there's a spring behind that. We'll put those over there out of the way. And then this slides out. It was falling out on its own. So there's the body. Just turn it round for a moment, because obviously what I need to get to is this end. Now I think these sides come off. Well, let's try and keep this roughly in the order it came out. So that's that one, that's that side, so that's the sides. Now might have to, when that's in the middle, I'm just trying to work out if I need to unsolder the battery, because I would prefer the battery not to have any risk of power while I'm playing around with the circuit board. And although there is a switch, I'd still feel happier if the battery was actually disconnected It looks like here we've got a temperature sensor, but that's got a bit spashed about. But perhaps that's the ground, and if I unsolder that, pull that wire off, then the battery will be isolated from the rest of the circuit board, and I can leave it attached to the circuit board. Alright, I'll put a little bit of leaded solder on it first, that might help it. And let's see if we can pull this off. Oh, that's it. One disconnected battery. What's it like at the other end? I think it's covered up at the other end. I think we can leave it like that because we can move the battery out of the way quite a bit now, because what we need to get to is this tiny little bit here. Unfortunately I haven't got a microscope to demonstrate this, so but that's the thing that we need off. It's hard really to show this because I don't have a microscope that you can use with a camera, but I've got 5 small pads there for the wires, and I've got what looks like a solder on spot for the actual mechanical fixture there and there. I don't really understand what those 2 spots are for there, but perhaps they help. But this is now off. It's a little bit worse for wear and tear, and I managed to knock a tiny little capacitor which is there, which you probably can't even see. I managed to knock that off at the same time, so not feeling too good about this. In my eyes this looks quite large under a microscope, but if I show, that's the end that it plugged into, and maybe you can see there's very little of it left inside there. It's in a right old state. If we look from the other end, it's a job to see how it ever fitted on. That's the wires there that actually transmitted the power, I believe. Alright, I'm hoping this is the new part that I need. This is a USB female connector. It's got the 5 pins at the back, and it's got what look like, not easy to see I don't think, but there's a leg there and a leg there to go onto the circuit board, and there's a tiny little leg there and a little leg there which I think act more or less as alignment pins when it goes onto the circuit board. I'm hoping this is the right one. This is the second lot that I bought, because the first ones that arrived, these leg parts were splayed out, and I've got some others where there are no legs at all. Now I think the ones with no legs would fit, but these presumably would be a little bit more mechanical wise, because that leg and that leg and that one there poking in, I'm hoping is going to give a little bit of more strength. Get that to sit there, but somehow that has got to sit on there, and the legs have got to go into holes. It seems I was holding it in the wrong place. When you move it back this way a little bit, it drops straight into the spot, so that seems to fit in there perfectly. So all I need to do now is find a way of soldering all these parts together. I wish I had some ability at soldering at this point, because although I can use a soldering iron, that's a bit like saying I can use a hammer. It doesn't make me fit for renovating furniture or something. I can just bash nails. This is going to require a lot more ability than I have, but we'll give it a go. Somehow I need to get solder on this pin here, this pin on this side. The 2 pins that go down that are nearer this side I'm not too worried about, but obviously the actual 5 pins along the front at least two of them, one must be plus and one must be minus, so we definitely need those well soldered on because they've got to charge the battery. Right, I've never tried this before, but I'm going to try some of this sort of flux that you have in a syringe, so I'm going to try to squirt a tiny little bit of flux. I'm not sure how you get it to come out. I'm not getting anything to come out. I thought it was supposed to come out more like a liquid. That's coming out like a sort of goo. Oh, now I need a little bit more at this end. Yeah, it's definitely difficult to squirt out, but there's a little bit more. And then we're going to need some possibly on that pin there, and then that row of pins, and then some on that pin. Now I'm told that this is like the solution to making better joints, making sure that you've got some good solder on there. So that's my attempt at the good solder. Right, this I found just as easy to put on with my fingers just now when I was doing it as that. Right, now I've got this wedged in my homemade little mini clamp thing, and I'm going to try to get some solder on these pins at the back. You can probably guess that as a novice I'm terrified of doing this because I just don't really understand what is going to happen, but we'll give it our best shot. Right, now I've either got some on there or too much or whatever, I'm not sure. Right, and then we need some on this side. I need it to flow underneath to where that pin is, and I'm told that that's what the flux will make it do. Right, so that's the back, that's this side. Right, now I need to turn the whole thing round to get to the other side. I would prefer if I didn't have to move this at all, but not a lot of room here. And that's where I need some solder there. I can't quite get it to... I just have to hope that that is going under there. It looks like it might be. Right, next I need to solder the negative terminal back onto the battery. So with luck that won't be too difficult. I'm reluctant to use the charging lead that came with this because obviously the charger point was damaged, and I don't know if I can rely on this part of it. This is an old Nokia phone charger. It says on it, it's almost impossible to read, but under the magnifying lens you can just make out that it's 750 milliamps and at 5 volts, so this should be perfect for that. So I'm going to plug that in, and then we'll plug this in here and see if anything happens. I don't know if any lights are supposed to come on. I don't know what's supposed to happen, so I'll just plug that in there and see if anything happens. And the answer would appear to be nothing. So, are we supposed to see a little LED come on perhaps that tells us it's charging? Oh right, so behind the switch there is that, and that looks like that. So you would think that that would be LEDs to tell us it's charging. Oh! Ah! That's strange. Wiggled it, it's come to life. The lights have come on. I hope you can see that. Now I don't know what they will do. I don't know if we leave those, do they just go out? I don't know. So I'm going to put a little bit of blue tack there to hold everything steady. And I'm going to leave that and come back later and see what these green lights have done. Right, I'm totally confused now because apparently this should be flashing green if it's charging and solid green means it's fully charged. Has it arrived with a broken charge point? I don't understand how it can be fully charged, but this is saying it's fully charged, and apparently this could be 5 volts 1000 milliamps or 1 amp, and I'm only putting in 750 milliamps, but I'm sure that would be absolutely fine. It would just take a little bit longer to charge. So why they are steadily green I do not know. So I think the only thing I can do is put it back together again, and at some point we will use it and see if we can make it run down, I guess, and then charge it up again. If anyone out there in YouTube land remembers how this went back together, feel free to yell out and tell me. There's a slot there and a cut out, so I'm wondering if they went together like that. So that's that piece of plastic, and then this one, there's no obvious way where this would go, but I'm guessing it goes on there, latches onto there, and somehow holds on onto here. It sort of stops there. I don't know if that's supposed to go closer together, or I'm not sure, but that does seem to be fitted there. That's held there, so I think that probably is where it was. I think I may have to go back and look at the earlier footage and see. Well, I've looked back at the dismantling footage, and as far as I can tell, that is how it came out. I can't quite get this to fit beautifully back tidily together, because if I squeeze it here to make everything fit tidily here, you can see it doesn't want to fit tidy there, and if I get this end a little bit tidier fitting, then this end doesn't. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but because I would have thought it was supposed to fit. Oh, there we go. See, so it's nice and close there. That's held in there by that. That's, you know, that's all. That seems almost like it's clipped in place. But that I can't. That's about as good as I can get. Maybe that's all I should expect. But I thought the motor should slide back because the switch part is just down there. I don't see how this motor is ever going to slide back, because it just won't go. So I'm a little bit confused at this point as to how that. I just it just won't go. So I really don't understand. And if I just slide that in there, I can't see that's going to make any difference. So I'm going to have to keep sitting here and trying to work out how that motor is ever meant to slide in here, because literally the switch is there. So how does the motor move that far back and hit that switch? It just simply won't go. I mean, I can't, it will not go. Right, I think I've finally got it. It looks as if I just wasn't pushing hard enough. I've managed to push it in. And if I've got it right, I think there's a little plastic tab just there, and there's a little cutout on the motor there, and it looks like they can mesh together. So I'm assuming that when they're meshed, then it's on. So when it's like that, everything is on. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to manage to slide this whole thing into... Oh, see. But I think that's how it's supposed to be. So all I need to do is somehow get this piece to slide in there, but I'm not going to be able to squeeze this and hold it, so I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get it to line up. I guess we just have to try it and see. I can't see down that end to where it's supposed to line up, so hitting something somewhere. Right, I'm an idiot. It looks like it just needed the front lifted slightly and then it would slide in. So it looks like that goes into there. I don't see that that can go any further, so that must be as far in as that can go. And this bit is more or less lined up, I think. So then we've got a spring, circlip, circuit pliers. These are sort of baby circlip pliers. So can't seem to get big circlip pliers to go on. So that needs to push in. Unfortunately, I'm managing to push the entire thing though, which is not what I want to do. Right, so if we hold that there so it can't move, and we move that forward, when we press that it should start. Oh, and it does. And then if we go back the other way, and it goes the other way. Right, next we've got this little back piece, which allows us to, that is apparently a torque selector. Unscrew in there. These are little Torx screws. They're so small I'm not going to use a power screwdriver on them. I'm just going to... I'm surprised how tight fitting that is. It feels really tight. Oh, that's down tight. And this one. Oh, that one's not so bad, so maybe the other one was chewing up the thread as it went in. Right, now is this moving okay? Yep, so that's my torque selector, that seems to be working okay. If I pull out the USB thing, can I see the, yes, there's the USB plug for charging. Right, then we've got this. And we can't really get it wrong because there's a cutout top and bottom, so that has to go there. Like that. Oh, that's tough. No wonder that was tough to get off. It's tough to get back on. But this is the bit that I hate the most, this clip, because it just snaps into place, with snap being the operative word. I have visions of it doing exactly that, snapping. Right, that's in that way. Now it's just a case of right, it even came with its own box of bits, so we might as well try out one of the box of bits that it came with, these little bits. Let's have a look, that's because they don't look like they've ever been used. Now, oh, that's, wow, that's very magnetic. Let's try, but not magnetic at all when it gets to the screw. Oh well. Right, then we put that in there. Now we want to go forward, so we'll go across to there. And this is where it's odd, because obviously I put that on there and it doesn't do anything, and I haven't got anything to touch. All I do is press, apparently, so here we go. Now I think that cutting out is deliberate. I think that's the torque setting, but we'll find out in a minute. Let's try another one. Oh, I didn't have any trouble with that one. Oh, and there it stopped again. Right, so let's assume that is the torque setting. So let's move it up to, let's say 3, and see if it still does that. Oh, no, it doesn't stop now. Right, so that torque setting obviously works. Back in the middle. There's our 3 green lights. Oh dear. So we need to come back out again now then, don't we? So, oh, I'll put it back to 1, so perhaps we need more oomph to get it out. Move it to number 3. Oh yeah, look at that, look, easily. Well, I think I could get to like that. So there we have it. Go screwdriver. Working. Charger fixed, apparently. We'll use it and we'll see what happens. Thanks for watching.